Dear ITU team, Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Muhammad Asif Amjad and I am living in district Kasur. I did my PhD in economics from University of Management and Technology Lahore. I have 14 years of teaching experience in economics and its other related disciplines. Currently, I am working as an IPF fellow at University of Okada where I am teaching BS and MS classes. I also participated in different workshops related to teaching. Most recently, I attended National Faculty Development Program of HEC Islamabad. Apart from this, I also participated in different conferences. In two conferences, I achieved two Best Paper Awards. Furthermore, I have also published 32 research papers. My H index is 22 and my cumulative citation is more than 950, while my cumulative impact factor is 98.6. Today, the topic which I was selected it's why the aggregate demand curve is negatively sloped. This topic is selected from the macroeconomics book. As we know that demand curve in microeconomics shows the inverse relationship between price and quantity demand. As same in macroeconomics, aggregate demand shows the total demand of goods and services in at different price level, which also shows the inverse relationship between the total demand and their price level. There are three key reasons. The first reason is wealth effect, which is also called Pigo effect. The second is interest rate effect, it's called Keynesian effect. The third one is exchange rate effect, which is also called Mundell Fleming effect. But in this lecture, I only discuss the interest rate effect, which is Keynesian effect, while the remaining two effect is not discussed in this lecture. The Keynesian effect, which was presented by Keynes, in this effect, the Keynes drive the IS curve and the LM curve. To drive the IS curve, he gave the concept of Keynesian cross. According to the Keynesian cross, income is determined by the expenditures. There are two kind of the expenditures: actual expenditures and plan expenditures. Actual expenditures mean the amount household, firms and government actually spends on goods and services, while the plan expenditures means the amount household, firms and government would like to spend on goods and services. The plan expenditure is depend upon consumption, investment and the government expenditure. So the consumption is function of disposable income. So the consumption is written here y minus t. Y minus t is disposable income, which is income after deduction of tax, while the investment and the government expenditure is constant here. Now we present this on the graph. This is actual expenditures and this is a plan expenditures. It's a income y1 where the actual and plan expenditures interact to each other. It is called equilibrium and it's a income y1. When the government expenditure increase from G1 to G2, the plan expenditure curve shift upward. Now the income is increases from Y1 to Y2. It means when the government expenditure increases, the income is also increases. The plan expenditure curve is shifted by the government expenditure as well as by changing the investment. So, change in government expenditure cause change in income. When the government expenditure decline, the plan expenditure curve shift downward. Now, by using the Keynesian cross, the IS curve is derived by using the investment function. In this slide, there are three panels. The first panel is investment function, the second function is Keynesian cross, and the third C panel is IS curve. For example, in the Keynesian cross, this is actual expenditure and this is plan expenditure, and the income is on Y1. This is presented in both panel B and panel C. Here the investment is I1. It is presented I1 in panel A. When the investment is I1, the interest rate is R1, which is also presented in panel A and panel C, R1. Now, when the investment increases from I1 to I2, look at the panel B. In this, our plan expenditure curve shift upward. When the plan expenditure curve shift upward, the income increase from Y1 to Y2. So we draw the line Y2 perpendicular and attach the IS curve in panel 3. When the investment increases I1 to I2 in panel A, the investment I2 and the investment and the interest rate are negatively sloped. There is an inverse relationship between interest rate and investment. So the interest rate decline from R1 to R2. When the R2 line is connected A to panel B, it shows when we draw the investment curve, it shows the inverse relationship, and the IS curve also shows the inverse relationship. Means when the interest rate decline from R1 to R2, the investment increase from I1 to I2. When the investment increases, our plan expenditure curve shift from Y1 to Y2. So when the interest rate decline, the income also increase. It shows the IS curve. IS curve shows the relationship between income and interest rate, and IS curve shows the equilibrium in the good market. Now we move towards the LM curve, which is derived through the liquidity preference theory. This theory was also presented by Keynes. According to the Keynes, there are three motives to hold the money demand. First is transaction motives. Transaction motives means people hold money to carry daily transaction, and it is a function of income. And precautionary motives means people hold money to meet the unexpected emergencies. It also function of income. Speculative means people hold money for the businesses investment which is based on the interest rate. So money demand is function of income and interest rate. Look at the diagram. The money supply is a constant here. M1 over P1, it's a vertical line, while the money demand curve is negatively slow because the income and interest rate, income money demand income positive relationship, while the money demand interest is negatively sloped, so money demand is negatively sloped. And this curve money, for example, the money supply decline from M1 to M2, the interest rate increases from R1 to R2. So in this way we can drive the LM curve by using the liquidity preference theory. It's a LM curve, it's a money demand. Money demand is function of income and interest rate. At income y1, the interest rate is r1. When the income increases from y1 to y2, the interest rate also increase from r1 to r2. When we connect in panel B y1 r1 y2 r2, it shows the positively sloped curve. So LM curve is positively sloped, which is liquidity money curve, and IS curve is negatively sloped, which is in good market. The equilibrium is where IS curve and LM curve attract to each other. Now we drive the aggregate demand curve by using the IS LM framework. In this framework, the upper panel shows the IS curve, LM curve, while the lower panel shows the aggregate demand curve. In this equilibrium, suppose LM and IS at P1, when the P1 interest rate is R1 and income is Y1. When the prices increases, when the prices increases, money demand, money supply decline, real money balance decline. So our LM curve shift leftward, upward. Check this. The LM curve shift P1 to P2. Our income decline from Y1 to Y2. When we connect these lower panel point Y1, P1, Y2, P2, it shows the aggregate demand curve, which is negatively sloped. So in this lecture we have studied that how the interest rate affect the different channels, affect the aggregate demand through different channels. Now we discuss my research focus. My research profile is 32 research papers, and 17 research paper is published in Web of Sciences index journals, while the remaining paper is published in Y category journals. And my total citation is 953, which is 22 I-10 index, and cumulative index is 98.62, and two best paper awards. One is in UMT and the other one is University of Punjab. I also reviewed different research papers in renewed journal like Energy and Environment, Applied Economics Letter, Sustainable Development, and many others journals. The topic of my dissertation was energy, health vulnerability, and ecological footprint, long run dynamics of developed and developing countries. I use a panel data of 93 developed and 78 developing countries during 1990 to 2020. and where I applied different uh, theories and connected my research with different theories like environmental Kuznets curve, which is a main theory which my research supported this theory, and I use the panel quantile regression, which I estimate the lower, middle, and upper quantile groups rather than simple quantiles. And the research, beyond research, I published 32 research papers, and my research paper was related to the energy poverty, clean cooking transactions, green investment, institutional threshold, where especially I prove the inverted U shape and U shape relationship. Moreover, industrial growth, structural transformations, multidimensional food security, and especially I use the non-linear analysis by using the threshold point where the I studied whether the countries lie before the threshold or after the threshold points. I also expert in different econometrics approaches. I can easily handle cross-sectional data, panel data, time series data, endogeneity, and non-stationary of the data. I also adopt different econometrics approaches like panel quantile regression, FMOLS, DOLS, and robustness is checked through the Derrick Sol carry FGLS approach, special model, and currently I am developing dynamic panel threshold model. And my future research consisted energy, health, climate nexus. In this, I will connect energy poverty with income inequality, and secondly, I will connect climate policy and innovations, role of green patents and decarbonization pathways. Thirdly, I want to also conduct a research on food, energy, environmental nexus, resilience in food security and urbanization. And my goal is to establish an interdisciplinary research program centered on global sustainability and special spillover. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.